Hey, 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 all you cats and kittens, we're back. Hey, it's a live edition. We haven't done one of these in a minute, GP.
Guys, you sharing the link on
I'm gonna,
StockTwits?
hey, all you cats. Wow, and kittens, feedback. Back. Hey, it's a live edition. We haven't done one. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm sharing the link on StockTwits right now. Live TA report with ya boys. Boom. Oh, I didn't tag you. My bad. GP.
Bags.
Share that link and let's talk about this crazy ass market we've got going on here.
It's, I wouldn't say crazy, except for that bar.
That was kind of wild. I pulled up the 5 minute there and it looks like Dumpy Dumperson all of a sudden. Nick JFDI is on the way. He said he'll be here shortly, but yeah, GP and I wanted to jump on just as quickly as we possibly could. I've got a lot going on in my personal life, but the market looks like it has Fed minutes going on, GP. So break it down for us, fella.
So the Fed minutes are saying exactly what everyone knows, and when the market's still selling off, as per usual, it's the same news that sells off over and over again. With each sell, it seemed to, the momentum seems to be waning, but it's still, I won't say liquidity, but I will say that there's a lack of buyers to catch some of these. That's why you're seeing these outsized, insane moves. No one wants to step in front of this yet, and we're just kind of in a holding period while we churn everyone out, grind everyone down, destroy.
So when you say momentum, are you meaning momentum to the downside? Because that's been the only momentum we've had since February.
Yeah, but like, so on the down days, the bids disappear, right? The asks disappear, the bids disappear, and the market just free falls down. But it's not it's not like, to me, what I'm watching is it's not actual selling, it's the flow. So like yesterday, it's not like someone saw the snap announcement coming, but as soon as the snap announcement came and there's a lack of buyers, what you see on the options flow side is the opportunistic players coming in and selling calls whenever it got to resistance points and playing the short game, right? So like Apple would get to a point and you would just see 300 calls being sold or 500 calls being sold, and dealers have to reposition themselves. And so you start seeing a momentum down. It's not accelerating, it's not waterfalling, it's just a gradual kind of like grind down, right? Like if this was selling, people panicking on snaps or earnings warning or whatever, you would see exits, right? Like you would see out the door, people would be just selling hand over fist, like we saw in COVID. People weren't sure what's going on with the economy, if the world was going to end.
Get the hell out. Yeah, get the hell out.
For as long as I remember, it's sell, ask questions later, right? And all of a sudden, in one of the worst markets I've experienced, is, oh, we're just going to gradually decline over time. Right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's opportunistic traders who are taking advantage of the churn and selling at like key resistance points, or you'll see it daily. Like you just see some guy come in or some woman come in, doesn't matter, trader, let's rephrase that, and they'll sell 1,000 calls right at the resistance level, and all of a sudden the stock just turns. That's why you see a lot of random bars and stuff, because there's not a lot of conviction buying and stuff on this side. There might be accumulation going on each one of these down points, but there's no like consistent trend buying. And we keep selling off on the same news. Like, okay, gotcha. I got it the first time, the second time, the fourth, second time.
We understand. Yeah, inflation's a problem. Supply chain's a problem. Fed rates are going higher. Like we get it already, right? We've been knowing this for better part of 5 months.
if not even longer,
if
right?
not
Like,
even longer.
yeah,
Correct.
we had this, like, if you entered the market in the COVID season, then you may not know. But if you've been around for longer than that, this was the same stuff that was going on with the China trade war. Um, China would say something, Trump would say something, China would say something, Trump would say something. It would just be the same news going back and forth. And you're like, dude, can you just stop? And so it's a level I've been sharing on the markets as we continue to hold the 11,843 level. I don't know why it continues to hold. I'm assuming
That's on NASDAQ, right?
yeah, on the NASDAQ, right? Like it's the high from when Biden won the election on November 5th, 2020. And it continues to hold that pivot, and it's just rotating back and forth between that pivot. Everyone gets bearish as soon as it breaks, and I'm like, no, it's a magnet, it'll come back. And it does. Came back yesterday, came back, it just keeps coming back. So the only logical assumption I have is that's the day Biden won the election, and that's the point Democrats have to defend if they have any chance of winning the election again, right? Like if the market dumps from here, so like instead of a Fed put, this the Dem put is what I've been calling it.
The dim put.
Dem puts, yo.
I wonder, has anybody seen what Pelosi's doing? I have no. Again, I've been so far disconnected from everything I
No,
normally have.
she doesn't lose, so she'll be fine.
No, I was just curious if she'd made any moves as of late. Not that she's freaking out, panic selling, because I know she doesn't do that.
No, but it's not her, it's her husband,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wink, wink, slash, slash.
It's her, air quotes, husband.
Yeah, and it's not the husband, it's the advisor of the husband.
Yeah.
Who doesn't talk to each other, and they just do what they want to do.
You know, my wife's account's been doing gangbusters, and it's not because of her quote unquote husband. Anyway, so we got a few people here watching. What up, Richard? What up, Pratt? Rig said she was coming in hot. Hey, if you guys have questions, we keep the lives usually a little looser than we do our normal Sunday thing. So if you got some questions, throw them in the chat there on YouTube. We're happy to knock them out. Again, Nick hopefully will be arriving soon. It's hard to have the three amigos without the third amigo, but he'll be here at some point. He said he was free. But yeah, it's just good to be back together with you guys. Obviously I was unable to make Sunday work, so thank you you guys for your willingness to jump on something live this week. But hopefully we can get more back into a better routine. And wouldn't it be great if the return of bags coincided with the return of a bull market? Wouldn't that be something? That would be a story all the people could write about, and it could just be huge news around the world. Holding bags turns the market. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be something. It could have to do with that level of 11,843 as well, but we'll give it to bags.
Yeah, exactly. 11,843.
Pratt's got to go soon. So questions?
If not, that's cool. We're good at doing our own thing. But yeah, there's your little level that you're talking about. I think defending that low and above that, there's kind of a little zone right there, GP. I think
That's it though. This is the zone. If this doesn't get protected, it's game over. And so far, the protection is coming in, right? Like it breaks. It does, right? And it's miserable, and everyone watches the red day go to green and the green day go to red, and it's just pissing everyone off. But
no bueno.
It keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. So there's inherent support here.
Hey, there's Nick. Nick's still been on his energy train, I noticed the other day.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I've been saying it the last couple weeks too, right? When we done the Sunday thing, is energy still looks pretty tight.
And
You shorten energy, you getting that booty hole spanked up, as I said yesterday.
It's coming though. Up to 91 maybe is the next level. It's waning momentum consistently, so it's going to take some time to kind of pull out. But yeah, it's like you're not shorting it here. It's just too strong.
Yep. Hi, Nick.
What I do like is, I think Zoom is probably the best example here, is we didn't have a tech earnings that gapped down 30, 40, 50, 140% and actually had a follow through day. It's like, wait, what?
Wow.
That's something different. We haven't seen that in a good part of 18 months.
No doubt.
Did they have earnings this week?
They had earnings yesterday.
Is that what this big volume was? Okay. Yep.
It shouldn't be red, but it was a green day. Because that red makes it look awful.
Interesting. Yeah.
But you have a tech stock that's been crushed ever since the elections of 2020. It hasn't seen a high since November 6th, 2020, the day Biden got elected. And it didn't drop 40% on earnings. There's a lot of like
Character change.
backwards bullishness.
Well, we've made a lot to do over the last few months, really, about what might be signs of a reversal. And I'm not calling a reversal on Zoom, so don't get it twisted. But if I look at the resistance all the way down, we're through those two moving averages. Trend lines seem to line up. I mean, there is a little bit of a failure there, but I mean, overall, I mean, you've got a 5% day and a 6% day. You're pushing 12% on back-to-back days there, roughly. That's pretty good movement in a stock that has been just slaughtered as of
and for no reason though, right?
Basically last summer.
It's a profitable company. They're doing a little over $2 billion in free cash flow a year. They have $6 billion on the balance sheet. Their growth has definitely slowed, but they're still growing. And they're a $4+ billion company. Market cap was at 26 or 27 billion yesterday. So like, for you're trading at what is it, 20 times free cash flow or something like that yesterday? Not even.
Well, I just think that at some point these things turn around. We don't know exactly when that is, but we could take good educated guesses, right? And I think that looks pretty decent. I wouldn't, Nick.
I don't think we're out of the woods yet. In terms of
that's the reason why
market.
I was turning to you, Nick. I was ready. I was like, I need some bearishness to squelch my exuberance.
The thing that I'm looking at, like, I think what we'll see on the next leg down is again like the RS show up in like in the growth and the next leaders, because what's going to drag the indexes down in this next leg is likely going to be the weakness in Apple, Tesla, Google, and Amazon. I don't think we're done. Like Apple, I think we're heading down to kind of like the 120s. Google, Tesla, probably like I'm thinking probably the low mid 500s.
Nick,
again,
you have decidedly turned more bearish since the last time we spoke.
I think that the weakness in, MBG was kind of talking about him throwing some shorts on and how easy it was. And if you look at like, let's just say a daily chart of like Tesla, for instance, it's being controlled by the 10-day moving average. It means it can't rally above the 10-day moving average. Like it's a sign of strength in a bull market. It's a sign of weakness in a bear or downtrending market.
Yeah, I pointed that out earlier. There's a lot of things that aren't even able to get over the 9 EMA daily. So
right. So until like And again, but I'm also obviously in the camp that the next leg down is going to be that capitulation low. It's going to push us kind of right into that low end of, what is that? Is that the 2020 low? Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Like the Qs 250, SPYs 350. I still don't think if I'm measuring. If
So
we
Nick,
were to
Nick, before
if we were to
before
if we were to leg down in the SPYs to, let's just say 360, that's the 61.8% retracement from the 2019 breakout. Again, I'm disregarding the whole COVID, like shake lower to rip higher. I'm completely disregarding that. I'm looking at basically 295, 293 as like our breakout point. A 61.8% retracement from that breakout is not the best. Like, you'd ideally like to see the 50% hold, but again, there's a lot of kind of confluence in this 360 to 385 area. And we also have that, that big moving average kind of.
I feel you, and I hear you. I just want to challenge you a bit on previous statements, specifically regarding SPY and the Qs. You were looking at this 285, 290 level on the Qs, right? You were looking at this same area, this 390, 385 levels on SPY. Now
I thought we would get a bounce from here.
Yeah, well, I mean, we still
could.
We still could, right?
We are. Get positive, people. We are.
Well, but that's where I'm challenging you, Nick. So you've got what you called for weeks ago. Now, what is making you change your thesis?
The big names, Tesla, Apple, and Google in particular.
So you think more weakness in them is going to drag everything else down even further, even though in not too recent past, we've seen other market members, right? Other components of these ETFs buoy when suboptimal performance from the biggest names were happening. So you think the big leaders, right? The FMAGA or Maggot or Magnat, whichever way you want to classify them, you think weakness in them is going to continue weakness in the broader market and everything else leading?
No, I think that weakness in these big names will drag the indexes down. I think the cream will rise to the top, and we'll see that.
Yeah, it'll be the opposite of the last 6 months, where everything got destroyed, the indices held up, and now the indices get destroyed, and all the cream starts to rise to the top, right? Like, for example, Zoom or what are all the names are beaten.
All right. Well, let's talk about cream then. If it's not the the market heavyweights, what are some of the cream? And I don't want to hear it's energy, and I don't want to hear that it's industrials, and I don't want to hear it's miners, because they are a fraction in size when you compile all those together than the heavyweight. So I get, like, we have shifting sand to some degree, right, as who's helping move the indices. But at the same time, if it's going to be the opposite of what we went through, there has to be some pretty strong leadership in those smaller cap names.
I think the medical field.
Okay.
Whether it's the IBB or just across the whole spectrum, whether it's like, med tech or, whatever, like, let's say, so, like, pull up the chart of like Boston Scientific, for instance. BSX is the ticker. If you got even a weekly or even like the monthly, like, it's kind of sitting right on its 4-year moving average. I mean, that's a big ass base. Like, I want to see, even if this thing does kind of, let's say, leg down or kind of roll over, if the indexes do leg down, this is kind of where the sectors that I would be looking to see. So, like, if you're looking at the monthly, you kind of want to see that 38 hold or even the 33, 35. I don't want to see this thing making, new lows taken out. I don't want to see it taken out 33, 3150, 3150, 33-ish. But GP,
Yeah,
where are you?
The
Where's
bottom of
your?
that range right there, right? Like that's
Yeah.
your range box, and you don't
Yeah.
want to see it break that unless it's to the upside. I got that. I mean, just to play devil's advocate, because that's my style and that's what I like to do. I mean, I look at this chart and I lean bearish as hell, just because we've got a rejection, we got a even lower rejection. We've got this huge gap right here in the volume profile. It doesn't look like the strongest chart to me. So I mean, I haven't kept up with Boston Scientific. This is a new one for me to look at, but just initial results, like you're close to making a new low on this monthly RSI here. Not to mention what the price is doing. So I wouldn't feel comfortable putting my eggs in this basket. I'm kind of in the camp of GP. Surprise. If if the generals don't hold, if the heavyweights don't hold, I don't think anything's holding. I think it's look out below.
So you guys have been in the markets for a while. The heavyweights tend to play tag with each other if we go back through history, right?
Yeah.
You'll see half the FANG run and the other half consolidate or go down. So I hear you, Nick, on Apple and Tesla and some of the other names rolling over, but the ones that have already rolled over, Amazon, Google, Netflix, those are the ones who are going to support the if Apple does roll over, if Tesla does roll over. So I think
like Netflix, I mean, you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of tight freaking closes here. I definitely.
So Netflix is most likely going to double from here, 340, 360 in the next couple of months. And that's my thought process here, right? So I hear you on you do have the fresh monthly MACD crosses on Apple and Tesla and Microsoft that they could have potential downside, but I think it's going to be blunted by the ones that have already gotten destroyed, like Amazon. And Amazon's went below 2018 highs, right? Forget 2020, just yesterday. And because the high in 2018 was $2,052.50, and we hit like $2,020 yesterday for a company that's grown nearly double in size in the last 4 years. We're at the same price, and they have some. So I'm not saying that multiples can't continue to remain depressed and all that other stuff, but I think if the other ones do see weakness, I think you start to see the tag game where the Netflix and the Amazons and the Googles, and Google and Amazon have splits coming up. Netflix is just insanely beaten up, and they're still a free cash flow machine. I think they generated $800 million just last quarter.
Yeah, I mean they cracked down on like the password sharing thing.
Yeah. So like what you're going to see in Netflix is the migration of growth in subscriber base to their ancillary businesses that they start to build up, right?
I gotta step in, guys. I do not consider. I know it was, in an acronym at one point, but I do not consider Netflix as being one of the market heavyweights.
They're a heavy percentage of the ETF, so that's the way I look at it.
Well, they're 93rd in weight in the S&P 500. So, I mean,
in the top quarter.
I mean, they are in the top quarter, but
and that's probably because their market cap got destroyed.
When we're looking at Apple and Microsoft and Amazon and Google and Tesla, I mean, those are your top 6 of your top 7 right there. So, like, I just want to pump our brakes on what our expectation is of Netflix is in compared to the true market heavyweights. I mean,
Yeah, well, you're not going to
Facebook's-
change my
Facebook's
mind
different,
much
right?
because Netflix has been my bull market leader, right? So,
Yeah, I get
um,
it.
but you also have NVIDIA in that process, right? NVIDIA's also
Yep.
gotten absolutely destroyed on great earnings every
For
quarter,
sure. And
right? So
NVIDIA is the 11th largest component of the S&P 500.
yeah. So you also have these that have also been absolutely destroyed. And then the smaller names like Zoom, like DigitalOcean's a new IPO that I've been watching the last week, or it looks great. It's starting to build. It is showing relative strength. DocN is the symbol if you want to bring it up.
Oh yeah.
It's fantastic. Look at what it's doing while the rest of the market is taking a massive dump.
Big old poopy. Yeah, I mean, it looks all right. It's, still above the weekly 9. It's about to break through the daily 50. I mean, that looks pretty solid.
It's a new IPO, right? So it's cut under the IPO base and then reclaimed it and now pushing up. So this is what I like to see in new IPOs. This is why I don't buy IPOs in the first couple of years, because this is what usually happens.
I think right around that $50 mark looks to be like a decision point, and then up above that at 60 just looks like a natural place to see what it does.
Yeah, and then you have like DocuSign, Zoom, Facebook still looks. I know you don't like Facebook much, but it's the only one that's tested the top of the volume area, all-time volume.
It's not about me liking the company. Like, I can still have a bullish take on the chart. Like, I hate energy, right? But at the same time, like, energy's kicked everybody's ass who wasn't long energy.
Yep. And you just see the momentum on Facebook's, like I personally think yesterday's Snap event was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. But we were talking about earlier before Nick joined is like opportunistic traders found a moment where markets get a chance to be weak, and they fully took advantage of that all day. They were selling calls, buying puts, and most likely out of them by the end of the day, right? They were just taking their 20, 30, 100%, whatever it was, and running with it while the markets try to grind through all the other like swing traders and stuff like that.
I mean, just stop me if you heard this before, but I believe we have more upside than downside remaining. I just feel like, and looking at Facebook, like Facebook looks like it's a pretty good bottom to me. I mean, again, I detest the company, but I think that I could play off this level down here in Facebook, which, for all the social media stocks getting basically kicked in the jewels after earnings, that might be a good long-term play if I were so inclined.
Yeah, and higher lows on the weekly since 2000. Since 2012.
This was the line that we drew a couple weeks ago when Nick was talking about, like, I'm looking at that around that 390 area. Like, we are defending that. All right. Well, I shouldn't say we are. The S&P 500 is defending that. So could it turn? I mean, yeah, we thought this was a good spot, right? At one point, we thought this was a good spot, right? Like, we thought we were back to highs coming here, like. So we've all been jerked around, but you gotta make your best effort, and I think it's not a bad place to be interested. I would hate to see Nick's prognostication play out here, because again, I think if we break this level, we're looking, I'm not saying COVID lows, but 338 looks like a pretty reasonable spot after that.
Yeah,
I think we hold the 360.
So
I think
the thing I will say about being a long-term Tesla shareholder is don't count it out when it gets to the bottom of their bases.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like we're sitting at the bottom or very close to the bottom of the base. 500 seems like the logical point.
We're going to close better than 1% on the S&P 500 today. Watch this sucker go.
It's putting in a bullish engulfing already, Tesla. Yeah. Maybe the stock has changed, but I just know that whenever Tesla has been counted out many times over and everyone's like, this is an easy short, just keep shorting, it tends to punch you in the face.
For sure.
And the same way on the long side, it's like, oh, this is an easy long. It just went up 30% in 2 weeks. Let me buy more shares. No, you get punched in the face. It goes both ways. And Tesla is down 50% in 3 weeks. No, 5 weeks. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
How much
8.
is Tesla down
in 2 months?
In 2 months?
Like 45%.
I'll tell you, but I'm going to guess that you're pretty close with your 45%. Why won't you? There you go. Yeah, 40, 45-ish, 46%.
Yeah, and that's in 2 months. So I hear you that it could bounce here and then continue down lower. I don't know. I don't see it on Tesla, but I could be wrong. It could hit that 150-week moving average, the simple moving average at 508. But I think everyone's waiting. 550 I think everyone's waiting for it though.
Yeah, that kind of lines up with the volume profile too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible. Anything's possible in this market because there's not conviction buys, Nick. So it's not conviction buys. It tends to revert to the downside movements. And we're negative gamma. We've been negative gamma since January, right? So that in general is any sorts of weakness, the dealers start to position and you start to accelerate down. So it's possible for sure.
Our friend Rig wants a crypto update.
It's gone to zero.
Yeah, well, I know that's where you and Nick are, GP.
No, I'm only joking.
No, I know. I'm just talking shit. I haven't hung out with you guys in more than 10 days. Can I get my licks in? No, Rig. I mean, Bitcoin's pretty much been doing what Bitcoin does. I mean, it needs to hold here. This was the line in this, the range of these wicks. I like the fact that 2 weeks ago we powered back up off of that low. But yeah, I mean, it just needs to hold this. Obviously, if it doesn't, I mean, there's nothing to say that, 18K can't be reached. There's nothing to say that, 10K can't be reached. But at the same time, we know how crypto does, and Bitcoin's still the leader. And at any point in time, that could do that, or that could do that. So I know that's really not incredibly detailed for you, but I still see Bitcoin and crypto as a risk on indicator, and we are not in a hardcore risk on environment right now, just from everything I'm seeing. So it's patience right now. I see a lot of people calling for crypto winter again, similar to what we had late 2018, 2019, until we breach basically and close below this 2700 or 27,000 level. I'm not terribly concerned. It is living on an edge, it is living on the cliff, but until it breaks, it's not broken. So there you go. Hey guys, what's your take on Costco? Dennis would like to know. And URI. Let's go with the URI first. I can't say that I've ever looked at United Rentals. Maybe I have in a past life, but
that looks toppy.
Yeah, just to me, I mean, right now what I'm seeing is that and all of this right here. So where does that sort of line up? Back with the pre-COVID highs. So I probably, if I were interested in URI, just the way I'm looking at it, I mean, I wouldn't want to touch it until I saw it reverse out of what it's doing and break through to make highs or get closer to that 170. That's just me. I don't know if you guys have another take on that.
It's not a chart I watch, but I'm looking at that while you have it up here, Bags. It's got a toppy pattern and no volume support, right? So the question is if it breaks that kind of pivot, right? If it breaks that pivot, it's going to 150-ish, right? Or 160, whatever that level is that you've highlighted there for sure. And in this market, it's been to the downside pressure. So I'd say at some point it's going to happen. Look, man, Target happened.
Yeah, I mean, right now you have to give the edge to a downside thesis, in my opinion. That's what's been in control for the better part of 7 months here already, if not 8, to a lot of degree in some names. So if it were me, I wouldn't be in a rush to pick some up here at 273, honestly. But again, this is not financial advice. And the other one was Costco. Love Costco. I mean, all of retail has gotten just crushed, right? Walmart, Costco, Target, like everybody has felt pain over the last few weeks. I mean, if I'm a long-term investor, like I want to try to get Costco somewhere in the 3s. I would probably look at, again, that area if it were me, to try to snag some if I were so lucky. But this is not a stock that stays down for any significant period of time. I mean, let's just scroll through the timeline here. We had the early 90s where they weren't doing so hot, but they went sideways for a few years, right? But it's always resolved higher. So, just for me, I think you got to find, the way I look at it is I got to find things that at a price I'm comfortable with holding for a long time. And, I hold my bags basically.
They report tomorrow.
They report tomorrow. Okay. So
potential monthly MACD cross, but same boat bags. I added, not for myself, but for my dad's account. We've been long for a long time. We want to add when there is weakness. They have a dividend. They do special dividends. It's a good long-term kind of hold.
Yep.
So we added around 420. We have some other levels below that. Didn't blow the wad on one. We will add at other levels below that. It's going to be a dollar cost averaging play. If it really wants to turn down, it could really get back to like 230, right? If it's really going to be bad. Yep. I think Costco's management is one of the best in the business in inventory and stuff that Target and Walmart aren't the greatest at. It's a different customer base as well than those two. Personally, it's so I think they'll be fine. But if it goes lower,
all bets are off with earnings tomorrow too, right? I mean, I always say 60-30-10 rule, 60 to the downside on earnings, 30% flattish, 10% upside surprise. This is just the way I look at all earnings, regardless of the company. But you could get that upside surprise. I mean, Costco could blow it out. They've done it before on earnings situations, but I always feel like you have to be more cautious to the downside because earnings events just tend to be a reason for people to sell the stock at the end of the day.
Yeah. And they could have had their earnings event based off of Walmart and Target, right?
Yep.
So there's a few different ways to look at it, but I'm not trying to guess. To me, Costco is not a trade. It's an investment over time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's similar to those big names out there. Is like you just accumulate over time, and it could go sideways for 10 years. Who knows? But they pay a decent dividend. They randomly do special dividends, and we use the product, right? We're still Costco members and still love the experience. And so buy good businesses when they get cheap or cheaper. Could get cheaper.
100p. Nick, my
Yes,
bearish comrade.
I'm not. Oh my gosh.
I just do that because I know
no matter what it is,
I know you hate labels. I know you hate labels, and I do. I have to do it.
Because no matter what I say, I'm a slave to the price action. If we get like a reversal or I'm in, I'm gonna jump on it. It's just I'm waiting for my pitches more or less, and I got a lot of money at this point tied up in the energy sector. So
you're still heavy energy?
Yeah, I added a bunch, like Tallow, CRK, AR, and PDCE.
Comstock Resources is something you're in?
That's a hell of a monthly, Nick.
I got Oxy.
bless, Nick.
Yeah, in my wife's account, I got Oxy, DVN, PXD, and EOG. Her account always seems to outperform mine.
Is it because you're more conservative with her money? Is that
for
why?
sure. Just kicking my ass, but you know what's hers is
I
mine.
see, like I think energy. A lot of people think I'm like bearish energy. I'm not bearish energy. I'm bearish energy at the current price action, right? Like it
you
needs
can't
to breathe. It needs to come in. Needs to consolidate. It needs to build for higher, right? Like
we want a flag.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we've got a flag pole, basically.
Yeah, it's a secular shift that's happening in energy if you're paying attention to it. So you want to be long, but you don't want to be
over
chasing pennies here. To me personally, maybe I'm wrong and it goes to 1 million and it just continues rising with no pullback whatsoever ever again. I just technically everything tends to come in, right? Look at NVIDIA. For a while, everyone thought NVIDIA was never gonna come in. It's just gonna keep rising.
And they report after the bell.
Yeah. And then what happened? And then it came in. So energy can
you're definitely chasing right here for sure.
The longer it does this kind of like straight up movement, the harsher the fall is going to be. So I prefer that they build bases along the way, so when falls do come, you have something to catch it.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it's a secular shift in energy, right? Like I think it's something that it's only going to grow over time. I just want better entries.
No doubt about it. I get to if you're playing the long side, I think in any of the energy names, you're playing off the daily chart right now, and you're gonna have to disregard the monthly you're gonna have to disregard the monthly.
Yeah.
Like so you either have tight trail stops or you're piecing out on the way up. And I was talking to what's his name about that, whatever he changed his name to, Bag Holder Capital. I was like, dude, I even found myself getting chopped up rather than selling more as like some of these names were pushing into highs. I found myself selling out as like they were pulling in, and I should have been buying more as they're pulling in. It was just those bars off the highs were nasty. I mean, and then my argument or my thought process was, man, if we're seeing these nasty bars kind of off the highs, like let's say Oxy, for instance, like we really should have seen, let's see, what is the date of that? We had that nasty bar on 5.9, and we had two chances on 5.10 and 5.12 to see some follow through, and we didn't get any follow through to the downside. In fact, the 50-day held. So I was like, okay, maybe they're just these are kind of like sheep shakes off the highs, and they're going to get ready to rip it. I don't know, but that was just kind of my thought process behind playing them off the daily versus, I mean, you can make an argument. The weeklies look, fairly decent. Like, Oxy's coming out of a 3-week tight pattern at the highs, and it's been kind of in a, kind of a base between 50 and 50 and 64. But I'm with you, GP, like you're actively managing these and you're disregarding the monthly chart if you're playing them. But
I'm going to make a call right now. I'm going to make a call. And I'm as right as Nick has been for the last 5 months. I want to be completely contrarian to everything we spoke about earlier. I'm going to say the rotation out of healthcare and out of drugs is going to precipitate their fall off and money is going to rotate back into other sectors, and we are not going to make those lows.
Okay.
I want to make that call right now.
What do you have any sectors in mind that you think that you're leaning towards that are?
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
mean,
pull up my Market Smith here.
I think consumer discretionary is severely oversold. I think tech has been oversold. So I wouldn't be surprised to see those areas start to get some money flow. Just
IGV
IGV.
software.
That's software, right? Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that ratchet right back around. And as hot as energy has been, energy has definitely been the strongest sector. But when I look at healthcare has basically been treading water, and individual names has been making new highs. But I think a fall off there is timed just about right. And if I were so inclined, I might short them. Boom. Drop the mic. I'm out.
That works. So Nick, my general thing is I think this is a stage 4 correction in the larger cycle. And we, at some point, this is what I was saying about all-time highs. Obviously, I've been wrong on the timing, but the thought process is still that we get our stage 5 rally, right? Like the final kind of blow off kind of move.
I'm kosher with that. I'll take it. I'll take it.
So that's what I'm thinking. It could be none of that ultimately, but I like IGV. If you're looking at IGV on a weekly, that's 3 weeks tight. It's a formation you watch, right? At key support levels. So it's something to pay attention here. I think cloud names in general have lost their entire markup and gotten to a point where they're really cheap. Some of them, not all of them. Like Zoom, I think is insanely cheap for what it's providing. Right? They have $6 billion on the cash on the balance sheet, and they generate $2 billion a year if they stay exactly where they are right now. So their market cap is equivalent to something that they'll generate in free cash flow over the next 10 years. So I think some of these names start to get bids because, and it's profitable. It's not unprofitable. Right? I don't think Zoom has much debt, or if any debt at all. So and the 10 years are coming down, the dollar is coming down, the bonds are rising. It's funny how bonds have shifted from a risk on asset to a risk off asset. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah, I have actually. I was just asking about TNX. That's why I got this chart up. But yeah,
today's gonna be a big day. It's NVIDIA earnings.
It's a wacky world we live in.
Rejected before 2019 highs.
Yeah.
Lower highs again.
Yeah. I don't.
The one thing,
Sir Sloth, I don't think TNX is not going to moon. I do not think TNX is going to moon.
Yes. Welcome to the party camp, Sir Sloth. Well, who's Sir Sloth?
yeah, I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree with you on the retail side. I think retail is going to continue to suffer.
Yeah, I think I think retail can still slide some more. That's what I said, but I think they're oversold. Like I already think they're oversold. I mean, I think
the Fed has done their job, right? They are destroying without raising rates too much. They've killed demand across the board.
For sure.
I can speak on that again with housing. I know 2 weeks ago we talked about the housing, and basically in the Denver metro area, we went from seeing 30, for my home, for instance, this house was seen nearly 30 times over the course of a weekend. Now you're lucky to get a dozen people in to see your house on a weekend. Similar to the Atlanta market, When we first started looking in mid-April, people were throwing $100,000 over asking like it wasn't no thing. There's the demand is still there because people like me are still moving and transplanting. But at the same time, this week was probably the least competitive week as far as number of buyers I was competing with for my home. Basically, they had their choice between our offer and another person's offer, which again, a month ago was unheard of. So we're definitely seeing that change.
That makes sense with the mortgage rates going bananas for no reason.
Shout
Like,
out to my lender. I got a great rate. Thank you. Love you. 2 fingers in the air.
But that's the thing. How many people are in homes under 4%, right? So you're going to find it hard pressed for people to leave if interest rates continue to rise. They just won't sell their homes, right?
Shinu Checo said, "Hey, GP." Just wanted to shout that out. Hey, Shinu. I'm sorry if I messed up your name. I'm terrible. But hi, thanks for joining.
Hey, Shinu Chaco, I think.
Yeah.
I think I see it.
Yeah.
Any questions or just saying hey?
Just saying hey, baby doll.
So I like DocuSign here too. I've posted a few charts too.
Oh, I haven't heard that name in a minute.
I like it. That's like 4 weeks tight. That's
nice double
spacing.
Yeah, that is 4 weeks tight.
It's holding the only support that was there on the chart.
Yeah.
So if we can get more than a 1 day rally in this market, which we can't these days, I really like the potential continuation on this, right? Like you could also argue that it's a inverse head cup and handle, that it's going to break down further.
So here's my thing, and I think I mentioned on my way to money earlier this week. I mean, I think there's going to be some new leadership, right? Like Netflix came through a few years back, right? Like there's going to be other people part of the country club in essence. But I worry about like the Docus and the Rokus of the world, because I'm not saying that they can't ever reach all-time highs again. I know a lot of people like to throw that out there, but when I look at the chart, right, and just the volume, like I worry about all that they're going to have to eat up to get back through there. I'm not saying that, Docu is never going to reach 150 again, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's going to take time to get through that. It's not going to be a straight shot up. And maybe for me, I might be more interested in just going in further on indexes or ETFs as opposed to taking capital that's going to take so long in an individual name to grow. Just my 2 cents. I'm curious on what you guys think about that.
You guys sorry to interject. Do you guys use MarketSmith at all?
No, but you talk about it all the time.
You mind me sharing my screen quick?
Yeah, share it. I got you. There you go.
Well, he's sharing. I'll give a quick. My thought process is we move away from the Fed pivot and we get back to letting the stock market work out the price action, which is what this dip was.
Yep.
And we start to move away from Fed related news. And so because it's not Fed related, the market moves slower in general.
So you're saying indexes and ETFs wouldn't be a bad idea, but that's not your style, is what I heard.
Yeah, as in like, I think we're going to see a divergence between the Fed controls our markets to the stock market taking back control from the Fed, so to speak, right? And we start, because there are legit businesses in this on all these conversations that are fairly cheap on like a fundamental basis.
Yep, that for sure.
That we won't have that liquidity driven insane move in 2020, that we have a bigger grind where you get like a 0.5% a day for months, right? Like
so the winners are actually going to win, and those who aren't going to be, their price isn't going to appreciate just because money is free.
Yeah, it'll be prove it out, right? Show me theory.
Which leads me to back to my heavyweights, right? Like who supplants the leaders, right? There are companies that come along that eventually supplant the leaders, but it's hard to knock out the incumbents is the way I look at it.
I think missteps sometimes, like
Yeah,
you'll
for
see
sure.
it potentially with Amazon, right? Because Amazon's changed leadership. It's not the founder anymore. Doesn't have the same kind of viewpoints. I know Amazon's beloved by everyone, and they built a massive kind of, and Jassy's been there for a better part of 20 years plus, that he's got the same kind of viewpoints as, but you can see that. You can see the management shift being the reason, right? Not necessarily the business. And one great example is BlackBerry from back in the day, right?
I miss my BlackBerry.
Go for it, there, Nick.
Sorry, guys.
you-
Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying I like MarketSmith. I'm sure you could probably use like FinViz and other scanners in a similar fashion, but like pulling up like the industry groups, let's say I want to get away from like the energy and oil, gas, all that kind of stuff. I can start to kind of scroll down. I have it organized by like the industry group rank, but if you start to scroll down, to kind of go back in terms of like, what do we think is going to be next? I think if we start to look at names and like the sectors, whatever, that have been holding up well, what I like about MarketSmith is I hope they don't see that I'm doing this, because I don't think I'm supposed to, but whatever.
You're giving people a reason to subscribe.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's great because like I can pull up, like let's say aerospace defense, like I don't think that's anything that's going to go away. And you have these, top RS and EPS rated stocks, and you can kind of start to screen through it. In terms of like the medical stuff, we can definitely get away from like the drugs, but where was that one that I was looking at before I popped this up? Where did it go? Oh, like medical, managed care. I mean, there was another one I was looking at. I totally lost my train of thought and what I had to say, but I just wanted to share this just because I like being able to screen through this, and I can see where the sectors, the industry groups. I don't know, like I don't have a list on my like trade station as far as like each sectors individually. Like I don't have all the the tickers inputted into my platform, and MarketSmith just kind of makes it easy for me to like go through this. I think if you start to pay attention as to what sectors are starting to pick up steam, you'll start to see names that are, let's say lower on the list start to move upwards, and like the, energy start to fall off, start to head the other direction.
But I think what you're trying to show, like this is a good tool that we can all use to either buy strength, right? Buy high, sell higher.
Yeah.
Or it would be an opportunity to be like buy low, sell higher, right? Because you're seeing what's the weakest, basically.
God,
and it's not just your typical ETFs like the XLV, XLK, XLF, etc. It's all broken down truly by niche sectors, basically.
Yeah, it's I love it. It's kind of expensive, but I mean, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, and to add to what Nick's saying, I think we're probably on the similar path. Is like the previous leaders or whatever will continue to do their thing. To find the new leaders, you're going to need to see more evidence, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to figure that out over the next 2 weeks, right? And that's not a big deal, because if they're leaders, even if you buy 20-30% higher from here, they should over time work for you, right? Like I guess Tesla is one of my best examples. Is like I was worrying about buying at 180 before it split, right? Back in 2019, or 177 and or 195 or 200. And the reality of it is none of that stuff matters now. So if you're identifying new leaders, don't worry too much about catching the exact bottoms and stuff like that. So
For sure. Yeah.
Guys, I got about 5 more minutes and I'm going to have to bounce. But any questions out there? Stock Twits questions, YouTube questions, whatever. You got us for 5 more minutes real quick. And man, I got to say, guys, it's been fun to be back with you. I've missed doing these. I feel like we're getting the Bags family in order for our move. So I feel like things are getting good there on that front. The job's going great. So yeah, just excited, man, to be able to be back with you guys and talk about some market. You guys know I love the market, and I haven't really been able to dig in as much as I'd like to. So really love that we got some change of thesis from Nick. He sort of surprised me with that. Got their same, let's go Bulls GP. So I love it, guys. I love it.
Yeah, it's what I'd love to see, what I was talking about before, Bags, is to see the market start to stand on its own 2 feet, right?
Yeah.
Like not so Fed driven and stuff like that. That's the shift I'm trying to see if we can actually have over the next 3 to 6 months, right? But the reality of all this stuff is we came back to test the Biden lows, highs, Biden day election. And if the Democrats want any chance of winning, they're going to need to defend this area moving forward. If they take a dump here and the market goes down to 260, 280 on the Qs, or not 280, 260, 237, like there's no way they get elected. So I'm curious to see if they continue to defend this level and we push higher. There's a lot of internals setting up. I put out a note yesterday on Stock Twits. There's a lot of like the dollars coming in, rates are coming in, bonds are starting to act better. VIX, I think, is a bit hard to see right now because people are hedged. So you're not going to see the moves up and down that you're expecting to get capitulation and so forth. People have been hedged for a really long time, which is why also you don't see the panic, because they're like, oh yeah, NVIDIA reports earning tonight. If it dumps like everything else is dumped, we're hedged, we're okay. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah. So with our last 5 minutes, we've done this over the past couple months, is we've made a prediction. So I'm asking for it, and we will revisit our prediction on Sunday when we're back with you for a full TA report. But what is your prediction for NVIDIA earnings?
Oh my, that chart's a shit show.
I think we could get a bounce up to 200.
So 200, I can write you on the board for 200, Nick.
Sure, 2 to 210. I think we sell off from there though.
Don't stop there. Just go 220, baby.
Nah, I think it sells off. If we do get that pop higher, I think it sells off. Yeah.
So
in general,
you're saying
NVIDIA earnings have
up
been
to 200 to 210, just to be clear. You're not saying it closes up there or anything. You're just saying there's a big move to the upside.
I mean, I could definitely just. I hate this game. I just could see that as a scenario.
Yeah, you really feel.
I've got no rhyme or reason to why I think that. Just other than
NVIDIA earnings in the past have usually been a non-event, right? Yeah, and that's because it runs like 40% into earnings.
So Nick's calling a 20% gain or high, basically.
There was a big straddle that was that was opened up at 170 a couple of weeks back for this week. I think you can potentially just have flat, do nothing.
Yep.
Open for
that'd probably be a dream scenario, probably.
Yeah. I'm gonna say plus or minus 2%.
Ideally, we want like a 30%.
Is where we
gap and
close
go.
tomorrow, plus or minus 2%. Where's where we close the week, I should say.
I think they're coming out to report in a potentially bullish reversal scenario. So you could see NVIDIA be the spark for that.
Yeah,
bullish
for sure.
reversal.
I love Mr. Bear's optimism of a 20% pop. I love it.
But
All right,
they
guys.
report great earnings, so
It's
it's
been a
really
lot of
depending on
fun.
the reaction.
It's been a lot of fun. I thank you guys as always. You're the best. Just appreciate every time we're able to hop on. So thanks again.
Yeah.
Thanks for everybody for watching.